exam season. All right, we're back day 2 of the countdown to the World Juniors, and we are going to be looking at Team Germany today. Let's get right to it. Before the video starts, I do want to apologize for some of the pronunciation of names. Hockey DB, some of their names do not have the pronunciation feature, so I don't quite know how to say it correctly. I don't speak German. And also a shout out to the NHL Rank King app who helped me with some of the statistics for this episode. The NHL Rank King app, that's NHL Rank King, is a great app I use to look at players' statistics, their trajectory over their career. They have a cool stat on there called PNHLE, which shows you their superstar potential or where they might progress into the NHL. Give that a download. It's one of my favorite apps to use when researching hockey. So last year was Germany's first time appearing in the World Juniors since 2014, 2015, and last year they beat Kazakhstan in the relegation round tournament to be able to stay in the top group for this year. Last year, they also upset the Czech Republic, and they were able to squeeze 3 goals past the U.S., kind of scaring them a little bit in a 6-3 loss. But they weren't able to get that win, unfortunately, and they lost the rest of their games, except for that relegation tournament, which decides who gets relegated down to the division below and who's able to stay up for the current or the upcoming tournament. While Germany were considered underdogs last year, I don't think they should be considered as big of a dog this year. They have some returning players who are really going to want to prove themselves, as well as some young new players who are going to want to showcase themselves to the world. They are in a tough pool. They're in Pool A with Finland, Canada, Slovakia, and Switzerland, which is not going to be easier for them. But I think they would rather be in this pool than the other pool because I think being able to play Slovakia and Switzerland is definitely a advantage for them because they might be able to squeeze 1 or 2 wins out of that. And they're definitely going to play Finland close, and they might surprise you in the Canada game as well. The head coach from last year will be returning for this tournament as well. It'll be his second stint with the team in as many years, so he will be able to continue what the momentum they picked up from last year was. On the young side, they have 14 players coming into this tournament that were born in 2002, but their developmental program is one of the best in Europe, and they are making huge strides developing players and bringing strong teams to these international showcases. However, unfortunately, they will be without the 4 players of Lucas Reichel, Tobias Enkari, Nino Kinder, and Elias Lindner. They had positive COVID tests, so they will not be in the tournament. I know I'm going to screw up a bunch of these players' names, but the pronunciation is really difficult on some of them. Like I said earlier, when it comes to goaltending, they did lose their starter in Tobias Ansika. He was ruled out with a positive COVID test, so they are going to have to rely on their backups in Florian Bugel and Arno Tefensi. Both of them played for the U18 team last year, and they split time. Tefensi started 4 of those games with Bugel in the other 3. Bugel had the better numbers. He had a 1.62 goals against average with a 944 save percentage, which is pretty impressive. He's also been just as dominant in Austria this season, where he's playing in the top division there, posting a 923 save percentage in 11 starts. That's nothing to shy away from. However, Tefensi is the bigger goaltender. He takes up more than net, and last season in just 18 games, he had a 1.23 goals against average. He had a rough first 3 games this year, though. He's got a 465 goals against average with an 818 save percentage. So the Germans are definitely going to miss their starter this year in Ansika, but what are you going to do? 2020 COVID tests. Unfortunately, he's not able to enter the bubble with a positive test. The Germans will be without one of their top defensemen last year in Zeider. He announced he will not be attending the 2021 World Championship because he wants to keep playing in the Swedish Hockey League as opposed to the juniors. He was their captain last year, named one of the top 3 players to the team, and he had 6 points in the tournament. So they are going to need some players to fill his role and kind of solidify that blue line. So one of the players to potentially do this is Maximilian Glotzel. He is slated to fill this role. He's been the team's best defenseman in the pregame tournaments, and he also wore the assistant captain role with the U18 team last year, and he's played in games at the U20 level despite only being just 17 years old. Another defenseman that could possibly fill this role, but was unfortunately the last cut, was Tommy Passanen. It's kind of surprising he was cut because he's a bigger defenseman who could bring some grit to the team, which Germany is going to need to compete with these faster, stronger teams. But he unfortunately was not placed on the team. Another player who's been very effective at the U18 level, often leading the defense in scoring, and he's also playing in the highest level in Austria this year. 6'3" defender who is very smart in his own end, but he's not afraid to move the puck up the ice, and that's Susber. He's gonna be looking to use this tournament as kind of a launching pad to show everybody what he can do. So it could be really interesting to see what he can do on this German blue line. Luca Musenberger is going to be looking to use this tournament to showcase his skills. He intrigues me because he's playing every U18 tournament and has looked good while doing it. And he's also the captain of his current team at the U20 level. And some other notables that were named to the team is Lucas Flade and Mario Zimmerman. Zimmerman's only 5'7", but strong in his own zone, and he doesn't lose a battle very often. He knows that he's smaller, and he makes that up with the battles on the ice. Are losing their leading scorer from last year in Dominic Bach. He led the team in scoring with 6 goals and 8 points, but it shouldn't hurt the Germans too much as they will be getting back John Jason Petkra and Tim Schultz, who they combined for 7 goals and 16 points at last year's competition. Stoltz led the team with 5 assists, and he was also drafted this year, 3rd overall by the Ottawa Senators. He is coming off a hand injury, though, so there are questions on if he is ready, but we will see. I think he's going to have a great tournament showcasing his skills. On the other hand, they will be missing Lucas Reichel, who is coming off a positive COVID test. That is not good for them as he was a dominant player in last year's tournament, too. And also adding to the players that have been taken off the list with a positive COVID roster is Nino Kinder. He had a good tournament, and he was going to be returning to add some experience to this German team, but unfortunately, he cannot. Player that will be returning is Jean Neisenhuis. He's returning from that 2020 tournament. He's going to be expected to take on a bigger leadership role as a returning player. He's been playing in the Germany 3 League and is strong defensively, and he's going to be used on the PK quite a bit because he knows how to kill a penalty. He's been doing that over in the Germany 3 League, and he's got the experience to do it at the World Junior level. He'll be joined by 3 other 19-year-olds in Manuel Alberg, Julian Schrabat, and Philip Reisnex. Albert's going to be familiar to some of you as he's played with the OHL's Owen Sound Attack in 2018, and he split time in 2020 with the QMJHL's Moncton Wildcats and the USHL's Des Moines Buccaneers. Resnecker also played briefly in the OHL in 2018-19. He played 32 games there for the Steelheads, but he has been much better since he's gone home to Germany. The rest of the forwards, they're going to be really young and want to show their stuff off. Some notable names on the roster. You can have Florian Ellis. He finished 3rd in the Germany 3 League with 49 points and 1st in goals with 26, which is pretty impressive. Marcus Schwieger, he's been the most prolific scorer of any German on the team. But he's small at 5'8", so he might struggle in this tournament just because of the size disadvantage he's going to have. And Samuel Dubé, he's not much bigger at 5'8", but he does have some North America experience from his 2 seasons with the Halifax Mooseheads. But he suddenly went home to Germany earlier this season to, I guess, be at home in this pandemic. He didn't actually get a reason for that. The Germans are going to have a top line that can rival any other country, or most likely rival any other country. They will likely provide most of the team's offense relying on this first line. I am worried about the goaltending as they do not have their starter with them and the missing players from the COVID positive tests. This team does lack size. They are on the younger side, but that German development program over in Europe, they've pumped out NHL caliber prospects for the last couple of years. And these guys aren't going to have a problem finding chemistry because they've already played together for teams in Europe. It could help sneak them into a playoff spot. They're going to steal a win or two from some of these bigger nations who are still trying to get into the groove of things. With the absence of players on the blue line, they are going to take a step back defensively. But one thing to remember about this German team is that they do play a full 60 and they don't give up no matter what the score is. What we've seen at these past tournaments that they play a full game and will challenge you all over the ice in all aspects of the game. So don't sleep on this Germany team. I'm predicting them to make it into the playoff round.